Yasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim Kadosh Baruch Hu Shalom Aleichem Malachei Yasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim Kadosh Baruch Hu Shalom Aleichem Malachei Yasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem Shalom Malachei Shalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem Shalom Malachei Shalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem Shalom Malachei Shalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Tzedchem Shalom Malachei Shalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem Malachei Yasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shalom Aleichem Malachei Yasharet Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Dai 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 dai
Shabbat Shalom. It is wonderful to see so many people this evening. It is wonderful to be on the bima with a full clergy team. Welcome back to Cantor Eicher. We are glad you are back and standing. And welcome, welcome to Rabbi Reinhardt. We are so glad that you are here with us and joining our United Hebrew family. And welcome to those who are joining us online this evening. And for those who are at home, if you have candles and wine near you, this is the time to grab that so that together we can begin welcoming in Shabbat. And as these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. We welcome in the light and the warmth and the peace of Shabbat as we join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And if you can all turn to page 123 in your Sidurim, in your prayer books, and those of you who are watching online, if you have your books as well, 123, we will stand as a congregation to welcome the Shabbat. We are standing to raise ourselves to a higher plane of holiness. And the wine, Rabbi Reinhardt, you got your official cup? You do. All right. So we all have our official cups here that are filled with the wine, which I like to say represents the ink on which we inscribe our names in that new page for Shabbat as we bind ourselves through this wine by blessing it and welcoming the sweetness of the Shabbat. We sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho, be'ahavav ratzon, hinechilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehiro, לקרוא קודש, זכר לציון מצרים, כי באנו וגאלת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושמעת Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And we say together L'chaim, L'chaim to all of you, L'chaim Tovim, Yom Holedet Sameach, Cantor Hochberg, you Bobala, your birthday this week too. We'll have more to say about you later. Please be seated.
Got to fix the tallit a little bit there. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I am so excited to finally be here in St. Louis and to get started, well, with all of you, with United Hebrew. I can't wait to get to know you, to engage with you, and to be in community with you all. And I feel like the stars are kind of aligned, or at least the Torah portions are, because between last week and this week, we not only have two of my favorite passages, we also have perhaps my least favorite story in the Torah. So this is a great way for us to get to know one another. If you happen to read last week's Shabbat message, then you know that last week's Torah portion, Balak, is both my and Rabbi Rosenberg's favorite parsha. As she said, what's not to love about a talking donkey, an angel wielding a fiery sword, and curses that come out as blessings? The story of Balak and Balaam, as they try to curse the Israelites, is pure comedy gold, with a little bit of social commentary thrown in there. It has an incompetent king, a foolish prophet, and a literal wise donkey, let's say. To me, it reads like a classic Mel Brooks movie. It is far and away my favorite Torah portion, my favorite narrative in the entire Tanakh. However, at the very end of Parshat Balak is my least favorite story in the Torah, Pinchas, after whom this week's Torah portion is named. So following this humorous account of Balaam's blessing for the Israelite people, parts of which we still sing to this day, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, we still sing it today. It transitions into a very different narrative. In Numbers 25, we read, while staying at Shittim, the menfolk profaned themselves by engaging with the Moabite women, literally being seduced to idol worship. Of course, this enrages God, who commands Moses to publicly impale the ringleaders and sends a plague upon the Israelites. A little bit different from what happens with Balak and Balaam. And suddenly, Pinchas, the grandson of Aaron and the son of the current high priest Eleazar, takes up a spear and kills an Israelite man and a Midianite woman, running them both through, piercing their innards, in a euphemistic sense, in one fell swoop. This act of zealous vigilantism assuages God's anger. And yet, in the last verse of Parshat Balak, last week's portion, we find out that 24,000 Israelites were killed in what amounts to just 9 verses. But that's actually not where the story ends. Because this week's portion, named after the man himself, begins with Pinchas getting rewarded with God's Brit Shalom, covenant of peace, as well as being gifted the priesthood for himself and his posterity for all time. Now, there are certainly more troubling scenes imparted in the Tanakh, particularly those involving violence, perhaps against women or children. Think Dinah, Sodom and Gomorrah, or Jephthah's daughter. Yet in those instances, violence is either explicitly or implicitly condemned. Here, however, Pinchas's violent, gory, venge-filled execution of 2 people seems to be celebrated, earning him an eternal reward. There are all kinds of explanations and rationalizations that might encourage us to make logical sense of this story, but none really address the overall texture and instinctual sense which at least I feel that something is wrong or immoral or at the very least amoral in this account. Yes, the deception of the Moabite women and the licentiousness of the Israelite men are immoral in themselves. Idolatry, avodah zarah, worshiping false gods is bad. And an impassioned act of lethal violence carried out by a single individual against an unarmed, unsuspecting couple ought not to be celebrated either. This reminds me of an adage that I think many of us learned when we were young. 2 wrongs don't make a right, exactly. We in our modern day recognize this, and I would suggest that the redactors of the Torah, those who wrote it down, and the early rabbis actually felt this as well. While it is not explicitly stated in the text, we must remember that every single aspect of the Torah is filled with meaning, even the blank spaces. And by my reading, there is a deafening blank space in the middle of this story. When looking at the written Torah itself, the lines and sentences, paragraphs and stories are divided by short breaks in the text. Sometimes they are what are called closed breaks, where there's a gap within a single line enclosed by text on either end. Other times there are open breaks, meaning that the next section begins on a new line. Often, these closed breaks are understood to indicate a continuation of the theme or topic from one section to the next, while the open breaks indicate a new topic or perhaps unrelated theme. Here, within the story of Pinchas, we have an open break right between Pinchas's actions and his rewards. This would seem to imply a new topic. Moreover, not only do we have this hard break in the text itself, the early rabbis chose to split the story into 2 different portions, with the action occurring in one portion and the reward being separated into another. To me, this is a clear indication of our ancestors' discomfort with rewarding Pinchas for his radical, deadly religious fervor. This may not solve our discomfort, and nor should it, for this story is part of our tradition. However, it does send a message, and a supremely optimistic one, in my opinion. And the rest of Parshat Pinchas seems to confirm it, that every moment, story, action, memory can be viewed either by looking behind or by looking ahead. Both are important, both are necessary, but this week Parshat Pinchas encourages us to look ahead, to look forward, even as we do remember and treasure what has been. In this case, the part of the story in Balak, last week's Torah portion, reflects on Pinchas's past actions, while the story in this week's Torah portion, Pinchas, is looking ahead to his future as the religious leader of the Israelite community. As we continue through the rest of the portion, we see that the following passages seem to elevate this theme of looking ahead even as we remember what has been. Immediately following the story of Pinchas, God commands Moses and this time Eleazar, in his first duty as the high priest of Israel, to take a census of the Israelite people. Now, Moses and Aaron had done this same exact thing 39 years earlier at the beginning of the book of Numbers. There are a lot of numbers in the book of Numbers. Makes sense. But that census that they did 39 years ago was focused on the past, on the people that had come out of Egypt in the Exodus. This census was looking forward, focused on the future, on those who would enter into and inherit the land of Israel. This is made explicit at the end of the census, as the Torah reminds us that not a single member of that generation that came out of Egypt was counted in this second census. Well, except Caleb and Joshua, but that's because they were the ones who were the only two of those 12 scouts that were willing to go forward into the land of Israel, while the rest wanted to go back to Egypt. And even more so, the next narrative, the brief narrative that follows the census and subsequent partitioning of the land to each tribe, is even more far-sighted and somewhat a surprising section. In another of my favorite Torah passages, the 5 daughters of Zelophehad, Machlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. And I name them because it's rare that you get names of women in the Torah, and all 5 are named here. They successfully advocate for women's rights to certain inheritances, which God's self, codifies into law. This marks a significant break from the culture of the day, and certainly a forward-thinking idea for the time. And if that isn't enough, Parshat Pinchas then foretells of how Joshua will succeed Moses as the leader of the Israelite people as they enter into the promised land. And finally, it describes those holy days, the joyous festivals that the Israelites will celebrate once they are in the land itself. All of these passages look ahead to the future of the Israelite people in the land of Israel and to all the opportunities that it holds, all while still recognizing and reflecting on the past which brought them to this moment of new beginnings. This week, Parshat Pinchas teaches the power and excitement of looking ahead while appreciating what has been. Ben Bagbag, which, by the way, my favorite rabbinic name, said, "Turn it and turn it again, for all is in it." I've been a rabbi now for 3 years and regularly engaging in Torah study for about 10. In learning with others who have been studying for half a century, they assure me that Rabbi Ben Bagbag's statement is true, that they learn something new every time they return to the same passage. But this isn't because the Torah changes. It doesn't. It stays the same. This is because we change. So as I begin my time here at United Hebrew, perhaps this is why I see this message in the text this week. I'm excited to share what I've learned and look forward to building community with you all. I'm excited to engage in study, our traditions, on both the wonderful and challenging stories of our text, and look forward to the new messages, insights, and ideas that we might uncover. And I'm so excited to get to know more about each and every one of you, even as I look forward to what our future holds, especially because we get to create that future together. But for now, this Shabbat, I wish you Shabbat Shalom, and should we do a little prayer? Let's do it. Okay, we will turn now to page 138 as we begin to welcome in Shabbat with L'chadodi, welcoming the Sabbath bride. already did it, didn't I?
Lichadoti likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lichadoti likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Shemov lechor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamiyuchad. Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lechadoti likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lechadoti likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Kimekor haberachat, Merosh mikdem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lechadoti likrat kala. Please stand. B'nei Shabbat nikavela, and face the back of the congregation as we welcome L'chadoti likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Shalom materet bala, gam b'simcha uvetzola. Toch emune am segula, boi chala, face the ark. Lechadoti likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Adoti likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Adoti likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Adoti likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela.
We turn to page 146 and remain standing for our call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Hamevorach, hamevorach, le'olam va'ed. Hamevorach, hamevorach, le'olam va'ed.
On page 148, we join together in Ma'ariv Aravim in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, bechochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom u'vein layla. Adonai tzevaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema, pages 152 and 153.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malekuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated as we chant Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantaham levanecha v'dibareta bam b'shivtecha b'vetecha uvelektecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uksharatam leot al yadecha v'chayu letotafot ben einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
Page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Michamocha 158.
Michamocha ba'erim Adonai מי כמוך נעתר בקודש, מי כמוך בערים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש, נורא גילו. עושה פלא, מי כמוך בערים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש, מי כמוך בערים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש, נורא גילו. עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני נמרו לעולם ועד. מי כמוך בערים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש, מי כמוך בערים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש, נורא גילו. בספר נאמר כיפתה אדוני את יעקב וכארון יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל מי כמוך בהרים אדוני מי כמוך נטע בקודש מי כמוך בהרים אדוני מי כמוך נטע בקודש.
Thanks for including that version.
Oh, it's one of our standards.
I know, but I got to work with Sheldon in New York.
Yes,
so
you did.
I love hearing it here as well.
See, did you see his face light up? I was like, oh, okay.
I loved it.
Isn't Minhag wonderful? Go ahead.
It is, and we get to continue with another wonderful song leader that I know, songwriter that I know, Alan Goodis's Hashki Venu, page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom Hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim L'chaim. Let there be love, guard us with peace, strength and compassion for all in need. Shield us from hate, illness, and war. Watch over us as we go forth. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom Hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim L'chaim. Fill us with hope, grace, and truth. May we all return to you. Keep us safe, safe tonight. May we rise in a new light. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim L'chaim L'chaim, 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 L'chaim.
As we prepare for the Amidah, we are on page 163. This meditation leads us in, reminding us of Shabbat before one of our central prayers.
A thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and a joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Adonai, Svatai, Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tegilatecha. Adonai, Svatai, Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tegilatecha. Thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and a joy in the tree. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Please stand. Adonai, Svatai, Svatai Tivtach, Ufi Yagitehi Latevach. Adonai, Svatai, Svatai Tivtach, Ufi Yagitehi Latevach. We turn the page to page 146 and we sing together the Avot V'Imahot. 166. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei Hakol ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei v'Nehiim Lema'an Shemo be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah Rav le'Hoshia Morid hatal Mechalkel Chayim be'chesed Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim Somech noflim ve'rofeh korim Umatir asurim Umekayem emunato Lishenei afar Michamocha ba'al gevurot Umido meroch Melech memit umechayeh Umatz mi'ach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah le'achayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol. Page 170. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chor yom yahalalu chasela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. And we turn now to prayers that are outside of our prayer book. A prayer first for our country, and then a prayer followed for the state of Israel. And certainly eyes are looking toward Israel this week as President Biden has been visiting Israel, and thus far it's been a really great visit. And also the Maccabi Games opened in Israel, which is like the Jewish Olympics. It's really exciting. There's a lot going on. So first, a prayer for our country, a slightly rewritten prayer for 2022. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of our children and alert to the care of the earth and all its living things. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died by coming together in their names to envision a better world. Grant our leaders untethered wisdom and a unified forbearance. May they govern with blind justice and compassion for all. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you and all living things. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. Amen. And a prayer for the state of Israel written by Anat Hoffman. My God, in this sacred moment, give us hope for Israel and her future. Renew our wonder at the miracle of the Jewish state. In the name of the pioneers who made the deserts bloom, give us the tools to cultivate a diversity of Jewish expression in Israel. In the name of our fallen soldiers, give us courage to stand up to the words and ways of zealots, those in our own midst and those among our neighbors. In the name of Israeli inventors who have amazed the world with their innovations, help us apply the same ingenuity to finding a path to peace. In the name of all these individuals, grant us the strength to conquer doubt and despair in Israel, replacing doubt with action, replacing despair with hope. And together we say, Amen.
Amen.
And we now turn in our prayer books to page 371 as we turn our hearts and we turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing. And if you are thinking of someone tonight who is in such need, that need of healing, I ask that you rise and together we will call those names aloud, those in need of healing, sending them into the heavens. So at this time, we join together and call out those names. And we take all of those names into our hearts, those names that were said, those names that were unsaid. And may God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as together we join in singing Mishaberach, our prayer for healing.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor Haberacha Lehimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Lekor Haberacha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
And we take a moment for silent and personal prayer.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and We are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words, and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Dor vador nagid kodolecha. Dor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Dor vador, this truth will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning we will have the strength to say. The Dor vador nagid kodolecha. The Dor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. The Dor vador, these lips will praise your name. The Dor vador nagid kodolecha. Dor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. The Dor vador, these lips will praise your name.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
My name is Paul Kravitz, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and I welcome you all tonight. I must say I have the distinct pleasure on behalf of the Board of Trustees, and I dare say the congregation, to welcome Rabbi David Reinhardt to our congregation on this first, his inaugural Shabbat service with us tonight. We look forward to spending many more with you, to being inspired, to learning, to being guided, and sharing in many happy occasions with you. So thank you for being here tonight. Tomorrow at UH, Torah study begins at 9 a.m. in the library or by a Zoom. And Shabbat morning service begins at 10:30 a.m. via live stream. A couple of upcoming events, a senior program, but I really don't think this needs to be limited to seniors. On Monday, July 25th at 11 here at UH is the Muni Songs of St. Louis Summers, presented by Judith Newmark. You may remember Judy Newmark was the theater critic for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for many years. And she should have, I'm sure, a very entertaining program on the music at the Muni. In addition, a Red Cross Drive on Tuesday, August 2nd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. For additional information on upcoming programs here at UH, please visit our UH website. And thank you to our tech team for making it possible for all of us here as well as at home to virtually enjoy the service tonight. The gift shop will be open tonight, on Mondays. On Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays from 12 to 3, or by appointment. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
And on Shabbats, when we have the oneg, the gift shop will be open after services during the oneg. And on Shabbats, when we have the nash, like tonight, the gift shop is open during the nash, just to remind everybody. And it was so wonderful to welcome back our nash tonight. Sorry to those joining us from home that you missed it, but maybe in the future you'll be able to join us. And I want to say thank you to our nash sponsors this evening. Harvey Altman sponsored in memory of Carolyn Altman, and Dan and Elizabeth Margolis sponsored in honor of their 10th wedding anniversary. And speaking of anniversaries, it is the third Shabbat of the month, which means we are celebrating anniversaries. And I have one couple named up here, and if anybody else is celebrating an anniversary in July, I'll ask you to rise in a moment. But Carla and Jerry Rosen are celebrating their anniversary, or they celebrated it on July 3rd. If you are celebrating an anniversary, please stand. And if anybody else is celebrating, the Hochbergs are celebrating an anniversary in July, please stand so we can bless you. We'll walk this way.
Eternal One, source and shelter, light and truth, bless these couples who celebrate a wedding anniversary with the simplicity and the splendor of the love that binds two together. Their gentleness and the grandeur, the hope and the faith, the trust and the forgiveness as they continue their lives together.
Bless them with continued abundance, with health, with joy, with good fortune, and a home filled with the blessings of Torah and the beauty of mitzvot.
And love, it is a gift, a blessing, a legacy, an inheritance. May it continue to shine throughout your days. May it continue to radiate throughout your years. And may it continue to guide you and shelter you with the brilliance and with the blessings from God's Sukkot Shalom, God's tabernacle of peace, all the days of your lives. And to that we say, Amen. And Dan and Elizabeth, if you are at home, we hope you heard that blessing as well. And we now ask everybody to please rise as we turn to page 586 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וקור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 591, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. And we turn to page 593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. This Shabbat, the heartfelt condolences of our congregation go out to the family of Francis Silverman. We are in the period of Shloshim for Celia Seal Becker, Nancy Bordenstein, Diane Marlene Deutsch, Clarence Paul Feldman, Dr. David Weiss Halivni, Gail Jean Kravitz, Edwin August Lips Jr., Geraldine Jerry Knight Rich. And this week, this Shabbat, we observe the yahrzeits and we lovingly remember Marilyn Mickey Ash, Sophie B. Aronoff, Herman Barron, Rose H. Barron, Mary Bender, Sam Berger, Frida Gardner Bilick, Sylvia L. Bierman, Melvin Block, Leslie Liebschutz Carnes, Teresa S. Chakis, Irving Kaminsky, Bertha P. Copeland, Nathan M. Furman, Richard Keith Fox, Della Glass, Marjorie H. Glicker, Harry Goldblum, Alfred Goldman, Sarah G. Goldstein, Melva R. Goldstein, Harry Hockman, Bertha Hoffman, Dr. Barry L. Jasper, Louis Kaiser, Reggie Regina Klein, Samuel Harold Krell, Jean Z. Levy, Benjamin Levi, Matthew S. Levy, Edna R. Melnick, Milton M. Moss, Florine Sherman Myers, Sam Oberman, Shirley Oberman, Ida Pattis, Robert Perlman, Mildred Rain Plax, Harry Pozlowski, Erwin Radloff, Rita Mae Renard, Michael S. Rubin, Milton Rudy, Esther Salomon, Walter M. Salzman, Sandra Elaine Sander, Robert Schlesinger, Charles R. Schwartz, Bess Sirks, Susan Shapiro, Conrad Schauer, Paul Sagan, John Simon, Morris Sosna, Florence Kessler Steinbach, Tilly A. Stone, William Tariel, Sally C. Waldman, Mark Wall, Jerry Walkowitz, Ethel Zeman, Goldie Zieser. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for blessing. As we turn to page 598 and we rise for the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal ve'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chaye chon uvyome chon. Uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv uvimru. Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei almaya. Yit barach ve'yish tabach ve'yit pa'ar ve'yit romam ve'yit naseh. Ve'yit hadar ve'yit alev ve'yit halal. Shemei dekudashar barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata. Tushbachata ve'nechemata. Damiram be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru. Amen. And on this Shabbat of Parshat Pinchas, as Rabbi Reinhardt talked about, certainly looking backward and remembering, but looking ahead and moving forward. And when we are in that time on our journey, when we're in that between, as we're moving forward and looking back all at the same time, we pause, and we pause for blessing, to acknowledge the moments that we are experiencing, to offer our gratitude. And tonight we are going to end with such a blessing, as there is so much for us to be grateful for tonight. It is our first Nash, since March of 2020? That is something for us to be grateful for and to celebrate. So many of you have come back into the building. Some of you have been here a little bit, and some are coming back in tonight for the first time. We are so grateful. Certainly grateful that Cantor Eicher is back on the Bima, and most especially, yes, tonight we welcome Rabbi David Reinhardt to this Bima and to our family. And so we are grateful, and we say thank you as we join together in singing Shehechianu for these moments and for us all.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu הזמן הזה.
Shabbat Shalom.